It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Lewis University Flyers head bowling coach, Coach Scott Taylor. How are you doing today?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching at college bowling?
Yeah, I've been a big fan of bowling. I've been in the community for a long time now. So when the opportunity presented itself, I did a coaching minor here at Lewis, so I always wanted to be a coach in something. And so when that kind of presented itself, it was really exciting and really cool to be part of the first in the program history.
What was that experience like getting into the sport of bowling and learning about bowling?
Getting into the sport like when I was a kid or so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I basically started when I was 5. Um, my parents are always in bowling leagues, so I'd always go with them places, and that's what kind of got me started. And then I started pretty much 5 or 6 years old and never stopped bowling from there, pretty much. So it was always something that was, Saturday morning ritual all the time. And we just kind of went from there, built some friendships through that, and got to compete in high school a little bit. They finally had opened high school bowling up when I was a senior, so I got to do that. And I've been a big advocate of the bowling community since I've been a professional. So it's really important to me.
Coming to Lewis University, what was that experience like being the basketball manager for them?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. I I was looking at a few different schools when I was deciding where I wanted to go, and a couple the other two were big schools far away, and Lewis was right next door to me, basically 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away. And I went to a basketball game, and the assistant coach at the time I met after the game, and we talked for a few minutes, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to be a manager?" And I said, "Oh yeah, that sounds like fun." And like that just kind of finished selling me, because how many times can you just stroll up to a game at a big school or something, and talk to the coach right after the game and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna be a manager," or whatever. So like I just saw the opportunities that Lewis could present me in being in more of a smaller environment. And our basketball program, my freshman year, was number one seed in our regional. We were one of the top teams in the country all year. We beat the number one team on their floor. It was just an amazing season. And then we got an injury and lost in the first round of the playoffs. And it was, I tell you, the saddest I ever was for sporting outcome in my life. I mean, we were all crying and everything because we thought we were going to win the championship. And then the last 3 years, it was kind of a little rougher because we went. Our coach after that year left to go to D1, and then we had two more coaches in the next 3 years. So my 4 years, I had three different coaches. So that was kind of the hard part there. But those experiences are what kept me as a family. I always was going to basketball games after I graduated, and so the basketball program was always like part of me, I guess.
How was that experience like, as you said, not being able to play, not playing sports in college, but being a part of the basketball program as a basketball manager and then getting into coaching afterwards?
Yeah, I think it was for somebody that loves sports as much as I do. And I was also the sports editor of the newspaper um, at Lewis. So like my life is sports basically. Now I have kids, so that's my life now, and coaching. But I'm a sports guy. I'll watch sports all day if I can, or play sports video games or whatever. So to be able to not be good enough to compete, collegiately in basketball or baseball or whatever, to be able to still have a part of the team and feel like an important part of the team. The guys always treated us really well. By the time I was a senior, I was helping out the women's team with videos and stuff. And so being able to be a part of something bigger was always a cool thing. And you felt like part of the team. You did things with the team. You hung out with the guys, and you just felt like one of them. And they respected you for that. And I always thought that was a really cool thing to be a part of. and open up a lot of doors in the future.
After being a basketball manager, what was it like getting into the athletic communication side and working on the communication side for Lewis University?
Yeah, so I graduated from Lewis, and then I was a journalist for several years. And during that stretch, at the start of the stretch, I was a graduate assistant at Lewis for a semester, and then I got the full-time job at the newspaper, and eventually was a sports editor and all that. So all the sports stuff and the writing stuff was always part of me. And I actually had applied right after I graduated for a position as assistant sports information director. And I missed out because I was a lot more experience, obviously. So I always wanted to have a taste of that. So once I left the journalism industry and had a different job, and then this came up, and it's kind of a combo thing, two things I can do really well. One thing, obviously, I didn't have the coaching experience yet. I had the bowling experience though, and I knew a lot of stuff about it, knew all the people from my website and stuff that made it easy to recruit and stuff. And then the communication side of it was just a kind of piece of cake because I wrote stories my whole life and statted and everything. So it was just learning the system and the software and stuff. And
What was that feeling like becoming the inaugural head coach for the bowling program and being the first head coach for Lewis?
yeah, it was a blessing. It was truly something to be proud of and to cherish because it's very hard to build it from the start. It is incredibly hard. There might be shortcuts this day and age, the transfer portal as we've seen, but back 6-7 years ago, all the way back then, there was no shortcuts. You had to build from the ground up. And it was some trying times early on, and definitely some struggles and some ups and downs. But it feels that much better now when you see all the accomplishments you made and know that you didn't walk into something that somebody else had already built and you just kept it going. You built this yourself, and this is like what I built, and my assistant coach at the time helped build and stuff. So that's like, it makes you feel really proud of that.
What was that feeling like coming back home and getting to coach at your alma mater and being a head coach?
Yeah, really. I mean, I wouldn't say there's many jobs I would have taken in the world that to get me into coaching, whatever, if it wasn't at Lewis. I mean, you know, at the time, coaching wasn't really like the thing I was looking at doing or anything like that. I had a master's degree, and I was just getting into the marketing side of things finally. And, I thought that's where my future was going to take until this came up. So, it was the right place, right time, right situation. I don't see myself, never saw myself coaching anywhere else. Can't say, you never know what the future is going to bring, but, I don't anticipate going anywhere else or anytime soon or anything like that, because this is my home and this is my family and this is what I love doing and where I love being at.
What does a typical bowling match look like for Lewis University?
Well, we have, we bowl 3 days for NCAA play, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, we go head to head each of those matches. So we have basically 13 or 14 matches in a weekend. 5 matches Friday in Baker format, 5 matches Saturday in traditional format, and then some best of sevens on Sunday typically. So it's a 7-8 hour day. It's a long day, a lot of grinding, a lot of communicating, a lot of ups and downs. But we grab some food before, we grab some food at lunch, and then we go enjoy ourselves at dinner afterwards and have a nice big dinner to fill us up and get us ready for the next day. So a lot of stress in the way too. My hair was not this color at all when I started. So
What are some of the things that, for my listeners that don't know about college bowling, can you explain what college bowling is and how you compete in it?
yeah, I think a couple of the biggest things that people maybe don't realize about bowling, a lot of people don't respect bowling. They think it's just like some hobby you do while you're out with your friends and having a beverage or something like that. I think that's kind of the stigma, like anybody can do this, but to be a collegiate athlete bowler is a chore. We have workouts. We practice for 2 hours, 4 days a week. And then you're at tournaments, like I said, for 7, 8 hours. So yes, you only bowl 5 games, but you bowl 5 games over a long period of time. I mean, and you bowl week after week, and it gets worn down. It gets injuries, and you have to be, mentally prepared, and you have to be physically prepared. You can't just walk on the street and bowl 13 games in a weekend the way we do it. And so I think that's a big part of that, what people don't understand and realize, that it's a grueling sport, both mentally and physically. And then the other big thing is like they also think, hey, I can average a 190, 200. So why is that what you're averaging or whatever for your teams? And it's like, no, we bowl on a lot different patterns, oil patterns than what's the common bowler bowls on. That's about 10 times harder. So, averages are down about 25 pins from what they would be bowling if they were bowling on a typical house pattern for the sport patterns that we bowl on. We bowl on the same patterns that the pros bowl on. So um, that's kind of the comparison there. So, you always have to kind of put that in a caveat, and everybody's always sitting around asking, what did you average? What did your team average? And it's like, well, we can't sit there and compare what we average to what a general, person in a league bowling average. It's two totally different things.
What are some of the different types of bowling, and what type of bowling does Lewis University bowl?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, the types, you bowl Baker and traditional. We bowl both of them. Traditional is like your traditional, bowl league, little league with 4 or 5 people on the team. We bowl 5, and everybody bowls for their own score to keep a total score for the team. So there's that, and then the Baker matches are where you have 5 bowlers bowling for one score. So they take turns in frames. So the person who bowls the first bowls the 6th, second bowls the 7th, third bowls the 8th, fourth bowls the 9th, and fifth bowls the 10th. And that's how you get your score game in that way. So that really is a true team atmosphere because nobody's individual totals are getting awarded for that. And then what we do, which most teams don't, but we do a little bit, we'll split some frames sometimes. So we'll have one different bowler bowling the first and 6th frames. So instead of having 5 bowlers bowling, we have 6. So we do that sometimes to kind of for multiple different reasons.
What are some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far as the head bowling coach at Lewis?
The biggest thing we've accomplished, I'm trying to look here now, is I think we have 10 trophies now in 6 years. I want to say, I'm trying to look at my desk here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 9 or 10. And I think that's just a really proud thing to have that many in this early in a program. And it's not like we're out there competing in, the weaker tournaments. We compete in pretty solid fields week in and week out. And we have 2 tournament championships now in those times. And that's something to be really proud of. Our first tournament was 2 years ago. And then past year, we won our second tournament. And that's a big deal to come away with first places because we've had second places, I think 6 times or so. So to get a couple first places in there is a big accomplishment as well. So I think, the amount of success that we've had, in the short amount of time has been really good to see. And then, we have very girls that graduate. They go on and do some really good things. We have some girls doing really impressive things out there in the world. So that's always to be proud of. And we've had, some really good GPAs, 3.9, 4.0 for some of the individuals in their careers here too. So, those are all important things because at the end of the day, we're not here just for bowling. We're here to get an education and get a job. So that's what we strive for.
In 2021, what was that experience like taking the girls to divisional championship and having a successful career season?
Yeah, so the 21-22 season 2 years ago, I think that was the year we finished 4th and had the big success. And yeah, that was a great season. I mean, that was where we won our tournament. We had a second place in another tournament. And, I think the postseason didn't quite go the way we wanted to, but that really was a turning point for us to put us on the map. We had some good success early on. We won a lot of, second place trophies the first couple of years of our program. And then COVID kind of happened and it kind of slowed our process down a little bit that year. But then we came back that year and we really bowled well. And I think one of the other big accomplishments was, we had our first team all conference performer. And for our conference, that's quite an accomplishment. So talk at our conferences. So, that was something really good. And I think we just proved that we were here to stay and we weren't just like, a 1-year thing or anything like that. So that was a lot of fun that season.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you built for the bowling program at Lewis University?
Yeah, it's been a process. It's for 6 years. It's been a process. You come in and you have a vision, and it's really hard to execute it. You have these goals like I want this, this, and this, but it just doesn't happen in day one. It takes time, and it took a few years for us to get the program the way I wanted it and the way I was proud of. Even with the wins and everything like that. And one of the things like I forgot to mention before, like I'm really proud of, like we've won a trophy every single year of our program. So, the consistency of winning something every year is big. So, when you add that in there, but, the last 2, 3 years, we've really been family oriented. I came in and that's what I wanted. I wanted this to be a family. This is your family. You're with them all the time. This is why I love going back to Lewis, is because it was always like a second home to me. And I'm like, that's what I want to be for you guys. I want you guys to be with each other, take care of each other, and support each other. And it's really been unbelievable the last couple of years. The group we've had and them getting along and helping each other out through our ups and downs. And I wouldn't trade it in for the world. That's why we're here, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. So I really like the way our program is right now. And now it's up to the players to continue that, legacy as we graduate, players that help start it. Now the other people have to see what we've done and how to keep it going.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against each week?
Yeah, the top teams are always, Newman, McHenry, Maryville, Central Missouri. Those are our four main opponents in the conference. We're adding more this coming year. We're going to get to 8 this year. So, Quincy's been in it, and then we add Oklahoma Christian and Indianapolis. So I call it the second best conference in the country, and that's out of like Division 1, 2, or 3. I'm sure there'd be arguments other ways, whatever, but like I would put our conference up against anyone with our depth and skill level. We have a top 10 team in Maryville, and then we have top 20 teams, top 25 teams going through there. So there's no gimme, there's no roll back and hang out. Conference this past year was amazing. We had our best finish ever, which was probably my favorite weekend one of my favorite weekends, my favorite sporting weekend of my life for sure. Finishing third in conference, but just the way we grinded. I mean, every match is just so close because we're so evenly matched, and it's just figuring out ways to win and compete. And this conference brings it out on you because you have to be better or else you're not going to win. So they make you improve. So it's fun. We see them, these teams several times a year, and it's good to see how we compare. And, first half of the year, we were behind a lot of teams. We were clearly the 5th best team in the conference, and, it was frustrating because I thought we were going to be better than that. And then the last month of the year, we turned it on and did what we could do, and we ended up in 3rd place in the conference. And, so that was really good to see that we had our highest finish ever in conference.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like McCurry comes to your home facility versus going there playing?
Yeah, so we host one tournament every year, and it's a fun experience. So our tournament has grown from some of the more middle pack teams, and now we're getting the top teams in the country to come. We just had Nebraska and Sam Houston in it this past year with Tulane and teams like that. And this year, our list is growing to other top teams in the country. So right now, I think we have 5 of the top 10 teams in the country from last year committed to come this year. So we have one of the top tournaments in the country, and it's great to see that growth. And it gives us something, you're playing in front of, some your friends and family, and, the energy is just there. The bowling alley, Chicagoland area is so big for high school bowling that there's only like a lot of teams that come in here have somebody from, the area here. So that just makes the bowling alley probably as crowded as it is for any tournament we bowl in all year. And so it gets loud on the weekend, and it's exciting, and, it's great to be part of and have that and that be ours to host.
What is that, as you said, seeing those teams like Sam Houston come where you don't see them often?
Yeah, it's great to have those top teams. I mean, we give ourselves a tough schedule, so we see a lot of those teams 2-3 times a year. But yeah, to have them come to our tournament, and as a D2 school, have D1 teams coming in is a great thing, and get to compete against them and see where we're at. And it's great, in bowling with all being one division. It's some teams can sit there and say, yeah, we compete against these teams, but we can say that we can compete and beat the teams, so that's kind of the selling point for us, is we're just not going there to bowl against these top teams. We're going to try to win. And, obviously we lose against them more than we win, but we do get some wins in. And that's a great feeling when you can sit there as a D2 team and beat some of the top D1 programs in the country.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to compete in bowling?
The recruiting process?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the recruiting process, it's a lot different than other sports based on what other coaches say. A lot of sports, they try to go and they're getting their recruits done by their junior years and stuff. And I think it's starting to become more of a trend for bowling. I'm starting to see some girls commit in June or in their junior year. But we're basically a senior year thing. You start talking to them as juniors, and by the time you're seniors, you make offers and try to get them in. And we have a big recruiting event every year called Junior Gold. So that's a week we're out recruiting and trying to see who fits in with us, and then it's just trying to figure out from there what who ends up with us and how it goes. So it's a process. It's not easy, but it's great meeting a bunch of different people, and I built some good friendships even from parents or women that don't end up coming to Lewis that I still see, when we're competing against them or whatever tournaments, and we still talk and everything like that. So I don't hold any grudges or anything like that. I enjoy being around good people.
What is it like getting to see those prospective student athletes fall in love with the Lewis bowling facility?
Yeah, it's great when they come on campus and they really enjoy it. I always ask people what they think about the campus, and because it's important to me, because I don't want people here for the wrong reasons. I want them to enjoy their experience at Lewis, and to see them when they really take Lewis as their own and really get excited about coming and seeing what it's all about and everything. It's a really cool feeling to have, to know that you can hopefully make a difference in their lives as they grow and help them grow for their 4 years. So it's definitely an exciting feeling to have. Whenever you have recruits on campus, it's always an exciting feeling, and you always want to try to promote your program and your school the best you can. And then when they reciprocate it and love it and come back and stuff, it's makes it that much better.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Lewis red jersey for the first time for bowling, and then putting it on for the last time?
Yeah, don't get me sentimental now here, but we really had it, as a starter program and everything. We've had a couple of girls graduate through the years, for 3-4 years, and this past year, last month, we had our first 2 out-of-state girls graduate, and they came in during COVID, during that mess of a first year where they were in their rooms all the time with masks on at practice, can only travel, a few times a year, and to see where they're at now. It was just from the first time they put on the jersey, like you said, to the last time they put on the jersey, almost winning conference. I mean, that's just a remarkable thing in 4 years. And, I don't let myself get really caught up in it, because I am a kind of sentimental guy. So I try not to think about it, and think, because like you come in prepared that you're not going to be here forever. So, you can't get, too attached to that fact of them or anything. But I think it's a great thing that so many of them that have already gone through still come back and help the program out. We're going to have 2 volunteer assistants this year that have been in the program. So, I mean, that tells you something about our program and what we're building, that they want to come back and help out and be a part of it. So it's always good to still see them and have them in my life, because they're very important to me.
What is it like getting to see those college bowlers go on into the professional bowling and even into the professional field, whether it's the medical, doctor, all that?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the greatest accomplishments. I'm not going to beat around the bush with that or anything. Like, I don't come here or promote anything that says like you're going to become a professional bowler. Hey, if that's what you want to do, that's great. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'll help you however I can do that, but that's not my goal for you. My goal for you is not to become a professional bowler. My goal for you is to become a professional person, like you mentioned, in a field of study that you're coming here for. Like, that's my goal is to find you success in that, and to find you a job. And whatever happens in the sides, get you to be the best bowler you can. And if that makes you get you into the pros, great. Like, I would support that, and then come watch and all that stuff. That's awesome. We've had some girls bowl, some PTQs and stuff at the PWBA, so that's cool to see. But they all have regular jobs that they're doing now that they went to school for, and that's what they want to do. And that's where they're going to make their money, and that's what I can support and I'm so proud of. And I always tell them, however you need any help or recommendation or anything like that, I'm there for you, because I want to see you succeed and do the best. And it's cool to go back and see what they're doing now.
What are some of your future plans for the bowling program moving forward?
Everything's a year-to-year thing, but the future plan is to hopefully get ourselves to nationals. It's my kind of goal was to do it a little bit before where we're at now, but we're still building up that way. So we came close, like I said, to winning the conference this past year. I mean, we had the top seed on the ropes, and we just couldn't couldn't finish it off. They got hot, and we couldn't win that. But I think we're building something where we're good enough to win a conference championship, and that's what the ultimate goal is right now, is to win a conference championship, and that would be a very sweet thing, definitely.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college bowling?
I think that the biggest advice is you just have to be patient and kind of be ready for a lot of changes. It hits a lot of freshmen hard, the constant bowling, those that don't bowl all the time and now they have to bowl a lot more. You get injuries and you get fatigued really fast. And then managing your schoolwork with it is not easy. We travel 8-9 times a year, and it's not just like 1 day trips, or 1 or 2 day trips. It's Thursday to Sunday. So you're missing, 2 days of school a lot, and it's a lot of work. So it's just stay patient. This day and age, everybody wants to bowl right away. Everybody wants to start right away. Everybody, all that. And it's just stay patient, keep working to get better and see what happens. Don't try to put yourself on some bar that you can't achieve in your first year, or that you're disappointed if you don't bowl X average or X, frames, or however. It's a process. And, if you're in it for the process, hopefully you're going to get those results by the end.
What advice would you give those college bowlers looking to play on the professional circuit of bowling?
Well, like I said, I'm not really, I don't really pitch people in that way, but if that's what they want to do, that's great for them. And I know plenty that are. And, hey, like I said, if they're my bowlers trying to get to that stage, I can help them however I can within the framework of the team. The team comes first, and whatever, like, you're going to help the team and we can help you succeed from there. But like, my suggestion is always, like, you don't want to make professional bowling your career right now, because there's very few people that can survive off of that. You have to be a really top bowler to survive off of that full time. So, you're going to need to find some other things to do while you're building yourself up. So that's what the education's for, and that's what we're going to try to do for you.
What advice would you give those future coaches out there looking to get started in coaching in college bowling?
Just be prepared of the time commitments. It's, a lot of people, members of, athletic communities think that it's not like a full-time job, or it's not a big job. And, it is, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of grind, and, there can be very rewarding, but it can also be very frustrating at times. So I think it's just, be kind of make sure you're prepared of what you have, and, what you can support, and ask other coaches around that are already coaching, like, what they need to accomplish things and stuff. Because, it was nice to know coaches before I started and give me a little idea of what was going on, but if not, I would have really been kind of thrown into the mud. And you see some new coaches that are thrown into it, and just it's hard with everything, and try to make sure you have an appropriate budget and tournament schedule and all that stuff.
What advice would you give those coaches like yourself that are coaching at their alma mater?
If you're coaching in your alma mater, I think I don't know any certain advice I would give. It's just, hey, enjoy the experience. And, I think there's a lot of pros to it. Like, I go around as an alma mater person. I give most of the tours on campus. If I can make it, I'm almost there to give the tours, because I know it's a more personalized experience. So, we're more passionate. It's just, you are. If you're coaching at your school, whatever the sport is, it's just, you're more passionate about that school, because, this is my school. We take pride in it. A little bit more so than other people would, just that they're coaching there. Not to say they're not, but it's still a different level of pride. So, it's just, hey, keep your things in check, but also don't realize that, the school that you went to school for, no matter when you come back to coach, it's not the school you think it is. There's a lot of things that go behind the radar that you don't know about. You just have to adjust to and everything, and realize that that's how things are done, or that's how things are done now, not when you were there. So you can't just go into the program and think that, this is exactly how it was when I was there, because it's probably not going to be the same. College landscape is changing rapidly, and it'll continue to change rapidly.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the bowling program at?
Yeah, the best thing to do is follow us on, we don't really use Twitter that much. Very rare. Unfortunately, I update that. So, but Instagram, we're Lewis Bowling, and Facebook Lewis Bowling. We update that regularly. And then you want to watch us bowl, you can go to YouTube. we have our YouTube page on there where we stream all of our events there, so people can kind of check us out and see how it goes. And I've heard people come back and say, "Hey, we like watching you bowl. We like watching how your team um, communicates with each other and everything like that." So I think it's a really good way to kind of see if that team is what's interests you. If you can't make it out to the tournaments and stuff, I wouldn't, going in blind and not knowing the players or anything like that. You want to see what they're about and how they act and stuff. I think that should be an important thing for recruits.
Thank you again for your interview, Scott Taylor, and best of luck in your future with the Lewis University's bowling program.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate what you're doing here. You go around getting all kinds of different programs in sports and everything like that. And hey, every program should be, given a platform if it can. So I appreciate you doing this and taking the time out to interview me.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Scott Taylor, for your interview and best luck in your future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.